live and direct from Albuquerque, Mexico. This is the Homeschool Dev, Day 8, Deep Dive Coding, IoT Coding, Design Hardware 10-week boot camp. We're talking about electronics, coding, designing hardware. We're talking about microcomputers, resistors. Wow. Stay motivated out there. Stay grinding. Stay focused. Right? Stay focused. This is a 10-week boot camp, but it's also an internship, right? And I'm producing a project, my capstone project that I can take, right, and successfully market that independently, right, from being hired from an employer. Right, excuse the study, right? It took me a second, milliseconds to get that down, right? So bear with me, everybody made mistakes. I don't cut out the mistakes, right? Mistakes are a part of life, right? When you make a mistake, right, you get up and you learn from it, right? And you can parallel that to coding when you're learning to code. When you come up against a problem, right, break that problem down, right, and rebuild it. That's how you learn your own. Don't be afraid to break, what you work hard to build. It's painful, believe me, I know. But the reward is so satisfying that you would thank yourself. On that note, I got to get down here to the Deep Dive Coding Bootcamp. I want to send a shout out to all of my classmates in the IoT program, right? We're the inaugural IoT coding, right? Hardware design cohort class. I get up and think about that every morning. And I love the fact that I'm one of the first. And because I am chosen one of the first, I'm going to work as hard as anybody who's ever worked in this boot camp. Set a standard, right? Set a standard on how you represent for the deep dive coding, how you rep for yourself as an engineer, developer, programmer, right? Remain focused. This is the Homeschool Dev, Day 8. Peace.
Yeah. It'll just be your email, and it'll ask you. Yeah. It'll just ask you to do that. Oh yeah, it's this launcher. If you click it while it's still loading, it'll crash. This is when I wrote it. It's a 30-day trial. There's a personal give you options to
hundreds of programming languages, and the choices that they made in terms of particularly using JavaScript as their stuff was to kind of make their base relatively easy to paint on, because they have a lot of artists that are kind of creating stuff. Most of the latency issues they talked about is because they're using a fairly high level programming language. And so there's a lot of, they have to, so those languages are doing a lot of things. With one of the reasons that we're using C in here is because we need to get very close to our microcontroller and to the inputs and outputs. And so if you were to program what they did in a language like C, it would be a lot tighter type of stuff. In fact, if you go over the history stuff, and we'll talk about this a little bit this afternoon real briefly, One of the predecessor languages one of the first languages that was kind of more human-like was a programming language called Fortran, which was a scientific and mathematics programming stuff. And when it was developed, the fear was it was going to be slower than hand coding kind of in machine language. And they spent a lot of time making sure the Fortran compilers gave you code as tight as what a human could do line by line and stuff. And C is relatively close to that. As you get to the objects, it's a little farther away. But JavaScript is fairly up that stack. And so, it's not to say that it's good or bad, or it's just different, okay? And it tends to be, if you were to take the web design bootcamp, the next version of it, the one that starts in April, I think, they're going to teach JavaScript, because when you're working on a website and HTML and you're not driving what do I want to call it, fast interactive graphics and stuff like that, it's pretty fine. So they made a decision. That decision is, and he talked about WebGL, I think what he called it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the heavy duty computing happens, okay? And WebGL is a lot closer to kind of what you guys are learning. It's different, but it's closer to what you're learning than from the JavaScript language. And so what I caution you about is to talk to one person and then say, this is the best language in the universe, and go jump on it. There isn't necessarily a best language. They're different, and they're designed for different purposes, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. We can choose our field based on what we like and which language we need to learn to perform this. Right?
Yeah, you can go one or two ways. Once you learn one language, it's a lot easier to learn other languages. It's part of the reason that I'm having you guys do these flow diagrams and think about the logic, because really programming is about being able to translate kind of what you want to have happen into some logical set of operations. And then to some extent you have English and French and German and Polish as different languages, and they have different grammatical, English and Spanish grammatically are very different, right? English is the most forgiving of languages, and it makes it really hard for anyone that is a native English speaker to kind of figure out the weirdness that we have in our language. A lot of the other languages are a lot more precise, and so they're a lot closer to what I would say is the C-type languages, because it forces a set of stuff. But what we're really learning in here is we're using C and C++, but this is not a C course. It's a vehicle for us to learn how to program Internet of Things devices. Does that make sense? Okay. And I believe that that you guys could go pretty quickly from once you get pretty comfortable with what we're doing in here, and jump into another language and kind of learn it fairly easily. The gentleman that we were talking to, I don't remember his name. He made a comment.
Mr. McMonix, we're going up.
I put it at the bottom.
Yeah. All right. Another day is complete. This is the Homeschool Dev reporting live from the Fuse Makerspace, the IoT and hardware design, right? Coding, deep dive coding boot camp, 10-week boot camp. This is day 8, officially done. It's been a wonderful day, you know what I'm saying? Looking forward to tomorrow. Keep supporting the Homeschool Dev. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. We're talking with the IoT, right? Engineer, web developer, someone who's passionate about programming, teaching others to program as well. Peace.
Can you dig it?